What's up, my ninjas? Strident here with another action figure review. This time I'm going back to my G.I. Joes. The other day my girl and my son were at, I think it was Marshall's, and they found this guy for $3.99, which is slick in my opinion. This is Crock Master. Now, for those of you who aren't like hardcore G.I. Joe fans, and maybe you're a little younger, you may not remember this guy from back in the day, but he is a hardcore throwback to the good old strange, the good old days of G.I. Joe, towards the end of the awesomeness. There's not that much to this figure. Overall, he just trains animals. He's their animal crock handler. At first I was like, this guy's kind of lame. I remember one of my friends had him, and I was like, yeah, he trains crocodiles. Like, I don't really see any use for him. But now that I've seen so much more, and my imagination has grown, and I've, gotten into stuff, I have ideas. But as you can see, he doesn't really come with that much. Just the crock, the whip, and that nice 357. Two accessories essentially, and the crocodile as a separate character, so to speak. He really doesn't need anything else. The gun is awesome. It fits in his hands really well. It's just that he doesn't have that hidden joint that the new Pursuit of Cobra figures have that allows the wrist to tilt up. So you get that weird action where the gun slightly tilts up, which, it'd be nice if we could do something about that. But, with some ingenuity, we probably could. You could replace those hands with the new hands. His design is really simple. He's pretty big in comparison to some of the regular sized Joes. The crocodile skin stuff he's got on cracks me up because he's a crock handler. There's his croc, or gator, or whatever you guys want to call it, but it's a crocodile. He only has articulation in his mouth. He can open his mouth and close it, and that's really it. He's not, it's not like he needs a whole lot of articulation, It's a mean-ass looking croc. What else is there to say? It's kind of slick. He's on a chain. It works. Dude has control over him. There's not too much more to ask for. It kind of gives you the idea that he could use his skills on other things as well as Crocs. Here's another figure. This is the Rock Viper that comes with the mole pod. And there's a couple others throughout the history of G.I. Joe that straight share this body. And Hasbro makes it a habit to reuse body parts and accessories, and they really reused parts and accessories with this figure. And it's kind of strange, but at the same time it works, because Crock Master was one of those original characters from the good old days. Like I said before, he sports that buff body, so he's a little bit bigger than your average Joe, no pun intended. But like I said, that works because he should be strong, and you could see him going up against other oversized beasts that Cobra would be wanting to, take control of and use in their conquests. I think it's funny too, if you look closely on his bicep, he's got a bite mark. So you could tell this dude is pretty hardcore, or maybe he was screaming like a little bitch when it happened, and he just hides it well. But it makes him look hardcore, The scar actually looks like he's got experience. The thing that cracks me up the most is these snakeskin boots that this dude's wearing. I think that's freaking hilarious. Or not snakeskin, croc skin, sorry. It fits. It's just funny that, here he is wearing that stuff. But, overall, he's a pretty badass figure in a sense, I think you would have to be an old school fan to really find enjoyment with such a simple figure. But Cobra's crazy, and the characters that belong to Cobra are pretty weird, so I don't know, I think he fits perfectly in that universe, Get a giant rubber snake for like $1 and have him taming that mess, and Cobra could use it. So, since we are on the subject of Cobra, here's another badass Cobra that I found the other day, and I had been wanting this dude. I just didn't know if I would see him in the store. This is the Shadow Tracker. He is from the Pursuit of Cobra line, and he is a badass motherfucker. He doesn't use any automatic weapons. It's all bladed, ancient weapons of kind of, close quarters, long range, but they're all old school weapons. I just love his look. At first I was like, this dude's wearing some bright colors, but if you stay tuned, I will show you how those colors actually work in nature, which is crazy. But as you can see, lots of detailing throughout the vest. I'm sorry that the quality is not allowing you to see it, but when I get up close you can see it. He's got his bow and his arrows. He holds that shit perfectly. Better than the freaking Young Justice Artemis that I picked up the same time. Here are his weird blades. I know one of them is for throwing because you can see all the weight is on the very tip kind of portion of it, the top half of it. I don't know, it's like a short scythe. I don't know, I think it's awesome. I could easily see him throwing that thing and having it miss a Joe by a hair and sticking to the wall. That knife is awesome because I could see him sneaking up on somebody and just destroying their neck with that thing. I mean, this dude is vicious. He's like the love child of like Predator and Spirit. If Spirit from G.I.Joe and Predator had a love child, it would be this guy. There are his two machetes. Well, combat knife and machete. Combat knife is awesome because it's got a little peg that allows it to sit on his leg. I'll show you that in a little bit. But it looks sturdy and it looks like it really hurt. The machete, it's a machete. What else is there to say? And it's really well done. I put the rubber bands around it to add width so it would stay in his hand. He doesn't hold it perfectly. There's his little Cobra tattoo, so it is official because he doesn't have Cobra symbols anywhere else because I think red would stand out too much in nature, like in the woods or anything. There is the peg hole. If you look on the upper thigh, that hexagonal shape you see right there, and the knife can clip like so into that hole. I think it's awesome. Like I said, it's nice when figures have weapon storage. I mean, he can't hold all of them, but he can hold most of them. Here is his awesome spear. It almost looks like a Maori battle spear. It's got the thick shaft and the point, the blade with the cool like waves and whatnot, you know, sculpted into it. And it's got a hole for this bolo that at the time I couldn't find, so I apologize for that. But you can also put the knife there if you wanted to. It just adds to, you know, the storage abilities of this figure, and it just looks kind of mean as hell when you see the knife sitting on there. But yeah, that little hole, like I said, it has many, you know, uses. But you can see the little spirals and the waves, and I don't know, I just like the fact that this guy's weapons seem to come from all over. Because at first glance you're like, oh, black dude with a spear and dreadlocks, come on. Then you look a little bit closely, or more closely, and you realize, oh, it's not really racist. He's got weapons from all over. This is this like capture net, like a snare, it's a trap or whatever. It's cool, but it's not big enough. That was my first issue with it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, a net. And the first thing I did was try to put one of our other Joes in there, and that's about all you can do. So, I don't know. People could be creative and find the same mesh somewhere else and make a bigger net, and it'd be awesome, right? When I got him, I just put his weapons in there. So, I don't know. It's cool. But, like I said before, in nature, this dude's camo seems to work perfectly. I got him when we were on vacation a couple weeks back, and we did some kind of camping, and my son brought his G.I. Joes and I brought some of mine. So here's Beachhead going out hunting, doing some recon, and above him is a shadow tracker. You can barely tell that this guy is there, and that's him against the sky. He's just hanging upside down looking down at Beachhead. Now, I don't know like how you guys feel about this stuff, but I think it's awesome that there is an actual application of the color schemes of this character, because in the 90s G.I. Joe seemed to get away from the semi-practical nature of the military stuff they were designing. I mean, before there was supposed to be a hint of realism in the Joes, and the sci-fi element was all in Cobra, and that's kind of what they started to run with, and with G.I. Joe as we know it. But in the 90s, there were weird colors and stuff that just didn't match. But this guy, at first glance, feels like that, but then you think about it and you see him here, it's like, holy shit, he does fit. So, like you saw those pictures, right? Him against a tree. Here's him sitting in the grass. And there's Beachhead in the distance. I want you to be able to like picture this. I tried to take these pictures from angles that made it look like we're their size, you know? You can't really see him. I mean, you know there's a Joe there because I'm telling you, but if you were where Beachhead was, there's no way you would see him, you know? And the colors work so well that they kind of blend in if there was more grass. I wanted it to be a little bit more obvious for you guys, so I didn't put him covered in grass. But if this dude was covered in one of those little traps like what snipers use, you would never find him. So, I don't know. I thought it was awesome. I was afraid I was going to lose him when I was screwing around with him in the grass and whatnot. But it just works. I mean, look at that. You can't really see where he is. I mean, you know it has to be one of these dark spots, but it's really hard to tell where he is. So imagine if you were looking for him and he was looking for you. You'd be asked out by the time you find him. I mean, you can't see him, but he's there. I mean, that's what camo does, and they did a good job actually, you know, making his camo work properly, you know, and be semi-realistic. So, props to Hasbro for that. Sorry, Beachhead. They just, it's just not your day. Not your day, sir. Yeah, and he also has a combat knife. I forgot to mention that earlier. But anyway, this figure is awesome. I think he's a complete badass, and if you are lucky enough to find him online for a decent price, I paid $7.99 for him, and that was at, like, I want to say a Target. So, yeah, check this dude out. If you find him, it's totally worth it if you're a fan of G.I. Joe and Cobra. And I want to say that's it. Next week, I will be reviewing The Doctor. And I probably will also throw in a review of the Cobra Shock Troopers from Pursuit of Cobra. So, check me out, alright, people? Peace.